Have you ever been in a situation where someone speaks to you in English and your brain freezes? You understand the words, but before you can answer, your mind starts translating, first into your native language, then back to English, and by the time you're ready to speak, the moment is gone. If that sounds like you, don't worry. You're not alone. Millions of English learners around the world face the exact same problem. You study vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, but when it's time to speak, everything feels slow, heavy, and unnatural. But what if I told you there's a secret that fluent speakers use every day? They don't translate, they think in English. Thinking in English is the real key to fluency. It's the moment your brain switches from learning English to living English. It's when English stops being a school subject and starts becoming a part of who you are. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to train your brain to think in English, step by step. Whether you're a beginner or an advanced learner, by the end of this video, you'll understand how to stop translating, how to build natural thoughts in English, and how to finally sound confident and fluent every time you speak. So if you're ready to change the way your mind works and unlock real fluency, stay tuned, because this could be the most powerful English lesson of your life.
Part 1. Why you translate and why it slows you down. Before we learn how to think in English, we need to understand why we don't do it yet. Most English learners make one common mistake. They try to speak English using the grammar and words from their own language. So when they hear someone say something, their brain does this. 1. Hear English. 2. Translate into native language. 3. Think of a reply. 4. Translate back into English. Sounds familiar, right? It's like trying to run a marathon while carrying a heavy backpack. You can move, but very slowly. The reason we translate is simple. Our brain always looks for comfort. It uses what it already knows, our native language, to understand new information. It's not wrong, it's natural. But here's the problem. Translation creates delay. When you translate every word, your brain gets stuck in the process instead of focusing on meaning. Imagine someone asks you, "What did you do yesterday?" Before you answer, your brain thinks, "Okay, in my language, that's," and then searches for words like go, eat, meet, friends, and then tries to rebuild the sentence in English. By the time you finally speak, your confidence has already dropped. Thinking in English removes that extra step. It's like switching from walking through mud to running on a clean road. You begin to understand English directly, without your native language getting in the way. Now, here's the good news. Anyone can train their brain to do this. You don't need to be a native speaker. You just need to practice thinking in English every day, even in small ways. And that's exactly what we'll talk about next. How to start training your brain to think in English step by step, even if you've never done it before.
Part 2. Start small. Think simple English in daily life. So now that you understand why you translate, it's time to change the way your brain works. But here's the truth. You don't start thinking in English with big, complicated ideas. You start small, with the simple things around you every day. When you wake up in the morning, don't say things in your language. Try to say them in English, even if it's just in your head. For example, I'm waking up. I feel tired. I need to brush my teeth. I'm going to make coffee. These short, simple sentences may seem small, but they're powerful. Why? Because they train your brain to describe your world in English. Every time you do this, you're telling your brain, "This is the language I think in." You can do the same when you walk outside. Look around and describe what you see. The sun is bright. A car is passing. That shop looks busy. Don't worry about being perfect. Grammar and big words don't matter here. What matters is flow, keeping your mind active in English. Here's a secret. The more you think in English about your own life, the faster you'll stop translating, because English will start to connect directly with your thoughts, not through another language. This is exactly how children learn. They don't translate, they just connect words with things, feelings, and actions. And that's the same process you're creating in your own brain. So your first mission is simple. Start thinking short sentences in English every day. Describe what you see, what you do, and what you feel. If you do this every day, even for 10 minutes, you'll notice something magical. English will begin to sound more natural in your head.
Part 3. Talk to yourself in English. Your secret practice. Once you've started thinking simple sentences in English, the next step is to expand your thoughts into small conversations. You don't need another person to practice with. You can practice with yourself. Yes, it might sound strange at first, but this is one of the most effective ways to train your brain to think and speak in English naturally. Here's how you can do it. Imagine you're having a conversation in real life. Someone asks you a question like, "What did you do yesterday?" Instead of thinking in your language, answer in English, out loud if you can, or quietly in your mind. Yesterday, I went to the gym. Then, I met my friend and we talked about football. After that, I watched a movie before going to bed. The goal isn't to be perfect. It's to make your thoughts flow in English without translation. You can even play both sides of the conversation. You, "Hey, how are you today?" You answer, "I'm good, just a bit tired. I studied a lot this morning." At first, you might struggle to find the right words. That's okay. The moment you can't remember something, don't stop. Replace it with a simpler sentence or describe it another way. For example, if you forget the word wallet, say, "The thing I use to keep my money." This forces your brain to think creatively in English instead of switching to your language. Doing this every day, even for just 5 minutes, will change the way you think. You'll notice that English starts to appear in your mind automatically. When you see something, your brain will name it in English. When you feel something, you'll describe it in English. This is the moment when English becomes natural. You're no longer learning it, you're living it in your own mind. And remember, every fluent speaker you admire once started exactly like this, by talking to themselves until English became part of their thoughts.
Part 5. Practice thinking in English daily. Final step. Now that you've learned how to begin thinking in English, it's time to make it a daily habit. Because consistency is what turns English from something you study into something you live. Brain. Here's how to do it. Start every morning by talking to yourself in English. Describe your plans. Today, I'll go to class. After that, I'll meet my friend. Then, I'll study English for 1 hour. When you do this every day, your brain starts to think automatically in English without translating. Throughout the day, when you see something, try to name it in English. When you feel something, express it in English, even in your thoughts. For example, I'm hungry. That's a beautiful car. I should focus now. It doesn't have to be perfect. What matters is constant use. Remember, your brain learns by repetition, not by perfection. And if you want to go even further, immerse yourself. Watch English videos, listen to English podcasts, and read English books. The more English your brain hears, the more naturally it starts to think in it. So, from today, promise yourself, I will not translate anymore. I will think in English every day. Because when you think in English, you don't just speak better. You become more confident, more fluent, and more free. Part 5. Practice thinking in English daily. Final step. Now that you've learned how to begin thinking in English, it's time to make it a daily habit. Because consistency is what turns English from something you study into something you live. Brain. Here's how to do it. Start every morning by talking to yourself in English. Describe your plans. Today, I'll go to class. After that, I'll meet my friend. Then, I'll study English for 1 hour. When you do this every day, your brain starts to think automatically in English without translating. Throughout the day, when you see something, try to name it in English. When you feel something, express it in English, even in your thoughts. For example, I'm hungry. That's a beautiful car. I should focus now. It doesn't have to be perfect. What matters is constant use. Remember, your brain learns by repetition, not by perfection. And if you want to go even further, immerse yourself. Watch English videos, listen to English podcasts, and read English books. The more English your brain hears, the more naturally it starts to think in it. So, from today, promise yourself, I will not translate anymore. I will think in English every day. Because when you think in English, you don't just speak better. You become more confident, more fluent, and more free.